Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Sweet 16th event in the Nightlight Poetry Series. My name is Tom Snarski, and I'm delighted to be here with you tonight on the cusp of official winter, with the solstice less than 27 hours away, as long as I didn't get the day wrong. I'm so excited to be hosting this evening's excellent lineup of readers. Chel Campbell, Chandler, Hyde, Camerato, Sara Matson, and Amanda Giordano Herrera are all here tonight. I'm so excited to hear each of them read. Before our readers share their brilliant poems with you, though, I'm just going to say a quick few words about Nightlight in case you're new to the series. Nightlight is a reading series featuring poets and writers in a monthly Zoom, usually on the third Thursday of the month at 9 p.m. Eastern. At each of our events, we feature a group of invited readers to share their work with us. We have slots for readers every month, so that means that we're always looking for folks who'd be interested in participating, and it's been a real joy. I have to say, I've been getting DMs on and off as people will right after the reading, or they'll watch it on YouTube and they'll be like, "Hey, I would love to read with you." So we're getting a little bit further out in the scheduling, which is a good thing, but also we would love to make sure that going into 2025, we have some lovely lineups ready for you. So if you'd ever like to read with us, or you know somebody who you'd like to read with, or who you think should read with us, please get in touch. We would love to hear from you. We're on Twitter at Nightlight Poems, all one word. And then on Instagram, it's night_light_poems_. Lots more claimed usernames over there. Or you could just DM or email me directly. I'm at Tom Snarski on most of the platforms, and I also have a Gmail at tomsnarski@gmail.com. So, without any further ado, and in the hopes that you might kind of be listening with a sheaf of new poems close at hand, I am very, very excited to introduce the first of our readers for the evening. He's going to get us off on a wonderful note in Chel Campbell. Chel Campbell is a poet and artist from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. She is a poetry reader and social media editor for Pithead Chapel and editor-in-chief of Meme Zine. Find their art in Black Lily Zine and Anti-Heroin Chic and words in Tramp Set, New Delta Review, Pithead Chapel, and more. Chel, thank you so much for being here and for taking us all the way into the reading. All you.
Hi, Tom. Thanks so much for having me. This is my first time reading here for the Nightlight Poems series, which I love. And so I'm so excited to be here and just thank you for holding this space for us. Um, I have a few poems today that are kind of wintry because I'm really feeling it as we get closer to the solstice. Um, but not all of them are wintry. We come out of the snow and the cold in a little bit. Is it cold where everyone is right now? Yeah, okay. Everywhere. That's all right. I also have a little sneeze, like just kind of inkling in the back of my sinuses here. So if I sneeze in the middle of reading, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm gonna stop gabbing like a goofball. Okay. This one is called The Compulsive Confesses in January. I unfixed my gaze in the bathroom mirror to see double, push grinning light bulbs beyond their fragile containers. I want to perform the same magic with my tongue, crack myself open like a pistachio, tell a stranger everything just to have someone really know me, no matter the cost. A few weeks ago, I stole a tube of chapstick, considered selling feet pics, got a tattoo of a gravestone that reads meh above my ankle. Yesterday was the grayest Sunday, and I was halfway through sketching a nude self-portrait when I was struck with the need to give myself a haircut with bangs. My sister talked me out of it. Today, I'm completely unproductive, and I think I've done well for someone who grew up lonely and so afraid. I no longer hear demons lurking around my bed or sink my bare fist into snow to see how long I can stand the burn. And I now believe most people don't secretly want to hurt me. And I think I'm definitely real as my skin between my teeth as I pink my cuticles into a prairie twilight. I'm nowhere close to perfect, not like the fresh snow pinkening under the sunset, bouncing off my neighbor's tallest windows. And what is snow if not water suspended above earth, waiting for time's permission to quench and pink us into spring? Father, I'm afraid I'm not sorry for any of this want. I no longer believe in sin. This next one is called I Am Not in Love with Being Alive in February. Um, Christmas lights, reminiscent of brilliance, still lace suburb houses on some Wednesday in February, and all day I thought it was Tuesday. How is it that the whole month of February feels like a goddamn Tuesday? I want to tear spring from the earth as if the earth would ever mind me. Neither does Betty, the seven-legged jumping spider living in my windowsill. She eats tiny red mites that piggyback off the plants I bring home. Stay as long as you want, I tell her, but she only stays as long as she needs. I want more from this life than I think I'll ever get, which makes me selfish. Though I reckon we all want to dig our hands into deep pleasures rarely offered or given. We make our own room for it between relentless days of monotony and agony. So I write, ache, sleep, masturbate in winter stasis, waiting for something I can't name, until I find Betty, shriveled under the couch, legs curled in. My first thought is she didn't make it to spring. After time, I realized she didn't need to. She was a seven-legged spider in winter, living the dream against all odds, eating her fill every day in a warm enough place, her eight eyes witnessing the brilliance of eight suns and moons dancing over 8,000 flickering lights. I give her a good enough funeral, say a word of thanks as I pluck her body with tissue to flush her down the toilet, vacuum her web, and spray my plants for pests, though spray never does half as good of a job as a spider. Spring always comes, with or without us. Another small life continues. All right, just two or three more. I think I'm doing okay on time. Okay, thanks. Um, This one is the compulsive ruminates in spring snow. Old snow turns me feral. I'm through. Don't tell me to get cozy when I live in a land encrusted with icy oil and dirt. I'm turning 31 next week. What a silly number, though I admire its nerve of only being divisible by one and itself. I take myself out to lunch, overhear a stranger tell a friend she bought $60 of art supplies that sit in a corner untouched. How she wishes Jerry was better about things, and such needing brings her to tears. Hey, stranger, I want to tell you Jerry needs to step the fuck up or you step the fuck out. Unbury your watercolors, eat and drink, and paint naked all day if that's what you want. But I'm silent as I finish my soup. Understand that I'm always braver in my head. I tip cash and return to the concrete lot. Even the sky is mush, but at least my belly is warm, my brain wrapped in a kind of wool scarf that tickles the neck. Thoughts itch, divide themselves, seek temporary relief as my fingers stop on the car door handle, knuckles split and bleeding. Slush seeps through cracks in my well-worn boots. My inner evils melt into temporary calm, for they too only exist in my head. Say I open that door. Say I begin to thaw. This one is called The Compulsive on Mother Eating While Cooking Breakfast. I don't think I've read this one to anyone before, so here we go. Here goes nothing. Uh, I have hurt my child on accident, banging his fine-haired head on open doors or slipping down the stairs, purpling my spent body to shield his from impact. My inner voice says I am never glad when it happens. Another voice says I want to hurt him on purpose, like the egg I crack into a plastic bowl. A mother rabbit will eat her young if her conditions are too wrong, overstressed, nest sullied. How common a phenomenon for the past abused to feel terrified that they or someone they love will hurt their children. Sometimes I am afraid to love my child as if love could eat him, and I am afraid I do not love him enough. Consider the nature of love versus survival versus no longer needing to survive, like velvet spiderlings who consume their mother's flesh after birth, though their womb killing doesn't prove her love or lack thereof. Once my son tripped during a game of chase. Teeth cut his lip. I mothered his tear-streaked face, blooming blood, steadied for his burying into my white shirt, smeared his blood on pale walls. The stain is still there, a ghost of flesh that belongs to no one now, evidence reduced to another mess that needs cleaning. I crack more eggs into the bowl and commence their beating. Um, this one's the last one. And Rachel Myers is here. Shout out to Rachel because we workshopped this one together. Um, and I kind of think it still needs work, but this is the new shit or newer shit. So here we go. This one's called The Tools We Used. It was a hard winter for all of us, but especially for rabbits. Unable to pass icy drifts to reach grass and clover, they peeled bark from young trees to eat cambium. It would be better, they think, to meet a sweet end like warm mice in pantries, to lick traps set with peanut butter. They cannot deny the allure of dying in comfort instead of clawing through an unforgiving life. But today is finally warm enough and clear. We open windows, invite sun and wind to scrub stale air, take good breaths into the deep roots of our lungs. New dandelions awaken in yards, stretch their green arms to embrace the toughest rabbits, who have already given birth under the same trees they made half naked and vulnerable to disease. It's always someone's turn to suffer, which is why we invented band-aids for trees and rodent traps and weed killers. We carve our spaces, settle into a place between suffering and joy, choosing, always choosing how we belong. And that's all I have for you. Thank you so much for having me here.
Amazing. Thank you, Chel, for getting us off to that marvelous start and for giving us two like beautiful Nightlight fan service poems, workshopped with friends, new shit. What a beautiful, perfect storm to begin the reading. That again was Chel Campbell, who you can find on Instagram at Hello Chel, HELLOCHEL, and for Memezine at Memezinelit, MEMEZINELIT. Also on Twitter at Memezinelit and Blue Sky at chelcampbell.bsky.social. Chel has a collection of micro poems called Love Bug that's forthcoming from Rinky Dink Press in 2025. And if you are sick of all the winter and the cold and you want to go to sunny LA for AWP, Love Bug will be premiering at AWP, which is very, very exciting. So keep an eye out. If you're going there, go bug Chel and get a copy of Love Bug. Um, Marvelous. All right. Wow. Okay. Always riding a high after our first reader who does amazing things. And I'm so, so excited to introduce our second reader, and that is Chandler Hyde Camerato. Chandler is a Massachusetts-based poet and artist with an affinity for animals and nature. Chandler, we're so, so glad that you're here. Thanks for repping Massachusetts, my home state. Take it away.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. And thank you, Chel, for such a beautiful reading and for starting so bravely and just that was so beautiful. So I'm going to share a few poems that have more, not necessarily a seasonal theme, but there's a lot of ocean here. So maybe it's not quite winter, but the first poem I'm going to read is called The Hermit Crab. Don't you want that part of you back that thought you chose your home? Don't you want to let it in? It's all about allowances, and if I live to 89, I'm taking every subtle instance as proof. Proof of urgency. When alone, I assume violence, and you ask why. Why that? Why you? Did I turn it over in the middle of the night? Did I disturb its channels, molt its skin, and anthropomorphize into my own loss? Maybe. If it's disguised as green space, I will sanction this land, this sawgrass, those beech trees. What do you know of the fracture in my jaw? Who are you prior to and before the news of your slow arrival? Thank you. Okay. Next, I'm going to read a piece called Family Heirloom. I took my good deed and buried it next to the sea. Let it sit for a few hundred years as I festered into something new, analog. To be captured only by the sand against oldness. Newness is smooth and unending, or provides the illusion of. Once the boat takes off from shore, you almost regret it, but don't. Try to. Animals lie to each other to survive longer, another. Often the sky is a secret I'm keeping. Often it's an omission one, if smart, would want to keep stashed. Because there is no vessel to hold it. Because there is no turn-it ending, just space hitting the walls. You should know that the best secrets never expire with me, but the smallest hurt the most. Yesterday, 35. Most of them will be forgotten because I'm the keeper of space. You have to be selective because certain memories can perforate a room, a couch, a pile of hay. Next thing you know, you're crying at the story of a monkey being euthanized in the New Yorker, or the receptacle of words that symbolizes that maybe it was monkey, the name you so affectionately gave it, that it escaped from the Bronx Zoo, found dead in the Upper East Side, the dining room, a table, now a bird made out of wood. I wanted to say it was because of suffering, how it changes you, and suddenly I was yelling. Thank you. Let's see. We'll change the mood. This next piece is called PTO, Painting Time Off. On the way here, drop the white paint in the bucket of the car seat, embedded with crumbs. The open freedom, use the time off to stare intently at the ceiling and then eventually that sky. By no other name can one identify a vestige of beauty. Imposter syndrome. I flail my arms like the Atlantic gull, or that brown bird by no other name than extinct, almost gone by the time it's found. Get my hands around it, and the sitcom laughter pans out. It's embarrassing to get angry when it's in your own name, your own selfish desire to make something, anything. Can't you just be the wife or husband, maybe the house, overlooking the Atlantic? Call me. I need to talk to you. I saw the bony shadow against it, asked for something better, asked to come back, to recall its recognizance again and again. Let it be specific, you think, and ask it to be so it can't take human hands, feet, but it can a storm, gale force winds. It's sediment, it's old, and it's exposed. It was once not. It was once a house, and now it's outward facing. Suddenly my business. And I'm interested, standing in the audience of hay grass and century-old crab skin, and my ornate desire to touch everything is here too, again. It alters the shadow, it ellipses the canopy of trees, but it's okay. I've woken up in that house, shit thinly veiled in otherness. Swallow, oriole, bobbing held in by the cattails, amber char, puffed case of frayed hairs in early September. You don't care about the name of things, only when it's bright or dark enough. Suddenly, it's a science of identification that could have meant everything. Get over it. Who I was before all of this suddenly rescinded its offer to be wholly mute, and I had to succumb to the idea that it might not be captured. The guy in the YouTube video said, the issue with painting the environment is you will never ever come close to the real thing, and thank God for that. Thank you. Next I have a fun, shorter poem after one of my favorite poets, Robert Haas, and this is called Tooth. It's after the poem Meditation at Lagunitas. It's like a very somber attempt at a homage to that poem. This is Tooth. All of this new pain is about my old pain, in a way, in the way that you are the fly on my arm, in the way you've always been a fly, something small and narrow, always had these legs, wiry, black, nettled in the spectacle of you. I swallowed the tooth before I realized it absent in my cylindrical O. Oh, new loss, oh, old loss, oh, familiar light pattern breaking through traffic. It is always about you, history of me, you, history of becoming you. Thank you. I think I have like one or two more to share with you. This next piece is Obad for My Changing Landscape. Of this whole vessel, surely split at some point into thirds, dissected into segments of stone fruit, thinking of Jim, not Dine, Henson, thinking of the anatomy inside those puppets, how a feathered thing is ultimately held by a larger infrastructure of thread, needles, and stitches. When the doctor removes a suture, when it dissolves into a blessing, what am I lying about? What did I sign up for here, in this room? With the Muppet pictures on the walls, casting spells, opening and closing the inner door, asking them to protect the third space, you in the lobby asleep in the plastic chair. I used to clean those chairs. I used to wipe them down and wash scrubs and wear a hazmat suit. And when I get to heaven, I will share odd jobs as offerings that I too was a human. It circles the room, then flies down, bites the doctor hard. That of my ownness. Now terse, now yellow, purple, something battered, a few loose feathers, a bit different, always the same. Thank you. Okay, I have one last poem to share with you. Let's see, I'm just picking from my roulette deck of cards over here. Okay, this last piece is called Landscape 2 Highway Poem, and just thank you so much for having me again. It's been so much fun, and this is my first time reading here, so I'm just so excited. And again, this is Landscape 2 Highway Poem. The Globe recorded a record year for hydrangeas, and I am fully assumptuous you would have loved this fact. I've lost the plot. In my tertiary kingdom, walking with you for hours on end in the dim, everything is now blue, so much so it washes gray. Is there death in the room with us? Is it in the shadow? Is it that I mistake for another body in the room with us, with the perfume of a couple 100,000 flowers? In my living hours, did not give it the attention it deserved. It's my inability to relate to absence that makes it harder. This much longing can only absolve so much land, so much space. And previously, I was not one to retaliate, more so accepting the somber parting of my life, more so believing the magic trick. I took exit 32B, formerly 29. I didn't realize it, but as a child, there was a scene I existed here, in this place. And that is the fuckery of this new highway system, the betrayal of each change. I missed my exit and found the Sudbury River as I recalled it. It was reflecting back to me of all things a passage of life, and it fell and rose, and I clapped for it. I bowed my head. I board the ferry because I can't stomach it. I'm distraught, looking for something blue out in my Atlantic Sea, to envision my seabirds, to open my mouth at the foam. Yes, I'm present. When was I a child last? Before anything else, I loved you against a plane, something I found interchangeable. I am omnipresent. I'm the wind smashing against this place. It will go like this. My weight was suspended by the sea. The boat, dinghy, clung on in the distance, and then a lighthouse, something tall, made it worthwhile. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Chandler. That was amazing. And the flash of like recognition and also mild rage at the formerly labeled exit signs. I used to live in Chelsea and I would drive by all the ones like Medford and Somerville would be relabeled. Anyway, all that is to say, that was Chandler Hyde Camerato, who just took us to the heights of the middle of our reading order. And Chandler, you can find on Instagram at Chanhyde Camerato, ChanhydeCamerato. And keep an eye out for Chandler's work. Chandler does a lot of great stuff in the Massachusetts poetry community, and I very happily and strongly anticipate books, chapbooks, otherwise, Chandler, because those were amazing poems. Wow. Yeah, new fans in the audience, which is really lovely. Thanks to our audience members for keeping the Zoom chat such a lively place for new shit and poetry this evening. As we enter the back half of our reading order, I'm really excited. Chandler mentioned being the first time she joined us at Nightlight. I'm really excited to have a returning reader, someone I've gotten to hear read a few times. I've gotten to read on her reading series as well. A longtime friend of the series to welcome next in Sara Matson. Sara Matson has poetry in the Chicago Reader, Kicking Your Ass, Bone Bouquet, and elsewhere. Her chapbook, Women in parentheses in STEM, is available from Bottle Cap Press, and her pop culture inspired chapbook, Special Features DVD Poems, is available from Alien Buddha Press. Sara is the host of the online reading series Words // Friends, which is an amazing reading series. I have no biases whatsoever when I report that, and it will be back in February 2025. But right here, right now, you can hear Sara read. So take it away, Sara. Thanks so much for coming back. We're happy to have you always.
Thank you so much, Tom. It is such a joy to be here tonight, and the reading has been so amazing so far, and I'm so excited to hear after me as well, and just thank you for curating this awesome space. I'm gonna start with a little poem from my chapbook here. This is Special Features DVD Poems. It is very inspired by nostalgia and TV and films. So with that, I'm going to start with a poem that was inspired by the TV show Killing Eve. And this is called, I Just Want to Have Dinner with You. Eliciting the same electrical response, my synapses fire over Balenciaga and the vampire's wife. Crushing my greasy heart with deep molars, push me in front of a bus so in the afterlife we can share a closet and 20K spa days. Using what I scrape from beneath your nails as skincare, your hum destroys the building. Thousands of bricks crumbling, fifth bedroom and corresponding staircase already gone. Layers of refreshed statement walls dissolving under your thumb. Thread slowly pop the first layer of skin as it tightens around my throat. Eye capillaries bursting, purple cheeks, knowing something I don't always. Bandage my body in a well-loved wig, someone else's follicles clotting my wound. Understand death only as queer, or at least the opposite of a vibrancy. The curve of your hemline follows your elegant neck, natural hair tumbling out in tendrils. I want to inhale your eyelashes. Liquefy me, spray me into your belly button and the nodule at the base of your lower back that slides into vision when you slowly dive forward to strangle me. Tie me into your wind-scented honey blonde. Allow me to be chunky but weightless metal dangling from your favorite lobe. Let me pool myself in your silky body, perfuming you in my devotion, Roman centurion. Handmade lace clinging to a damp forearm, blood matted to the base of your shoulder. What are those sounds? This is when I was most afraid for you, vulnerable and fever weak, ill, abandoned, a ruse, of course, but still, I worry. Thanks a bunch. My next one this evening is from Women in STEM. This chapbook is inspired by women whose scientific accomplishments in the STEM field, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, have largely been overlooked just because they were discovered by women. So I'd like to read a poem inspired by Eustace Newton Foote. She was an American scientist, abolitionist, and women's rights advocate. And she discovered the greenhouse gas effect and the problems that it causes. So this poem is called Gibson Girl. Roll me to the waist, pinned at the hip, pulling at shoulders or hairs like a sticky child, absolutely free. Taped buttons clutch the weight of thick cotton, nearly denim. Elastic exists somehow, but we use it for work. Gauge down rational appearance, lavish presidential attendance as signature standing for conventional proceedings. Wrapped every ochre lip for days. We sang the truth of rich white women. 72 years is beyond ambient temperature, temperance brewing ideological beer. Convenient torso combined with extreme limbs influence my effort. Bike, parlor life, costume lace, existence preventing natural movement. Repeat, revolt. Boned work rope on exaggerated statuesque sound for a shaped ideal. The illusion of danger, stingers hanging beneath my tight lace, unclench my abdomen, let my organs droop to their informal adequacy. Influence of carbon dioxide, absorb my heat, plenty to burn. And because Tom curates such a wonderful space, I'm going to share 2 new ones. So here's some new shit I'm super psyched about. This poem is called June and is just broadly inspired by summer and my gentle distaste for it. So this is called June. Waking up is poking a cooked spider with a fork. Fistful of condensation, I wipe up, watch the dark pools dissipate with breath. I don't know how to balance, toes up or down. I paint my chest blue, ignore strange advances from a baby or tiny teen god of how often and deeply I explicate. There was no contraction of muscle, no vibrational warning before a small flood down the front of the 3-day-old couch, assembled with insomnia on my blazer after I shattered our brand new glasses trying to get the baby fed. Cram, 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 new tissue, wet matter into the wet comforter. Word salad, thoughtless, messy, mayonnaise-y. Playing songs of infant animals eating to fall asleep feeling warm. Boat-necked undernail confusion, the shaved head of my mother whispers like a threat into the base of my spine. Time passes differently in polyester. Inside my heart is hair so thick it could be fur, always wet and warm. It itches in summer, my chest oozing plasma before I forget not to scratch. Thanks a bunch. I got one final poem tonight, brand spanking new shit. This is called Extended Summer. Getting those warm vibes because it was snowing earlier here. Small window to another dimension, worn on the tops of my hands like a spell. I cried so hard my eyelids flipped up, all capillaries and inflammation and salty, sopping. There's always an escape. Basil hands rubbed on a horrid cutting board. I sense suspicion and potential, but I imagine youth high on a nauseous rooftop, forgetful or friendships or accolades in a stolen legal envelope, like an unexpected chewing gum kiss. She asked what I tasted, surprised when I revealed my secret smell. I stink like the foil pullout on a new pack of cigarettes. Music notes stumbling down my leg hair, the sound numbing and deep in my infection. The following stage means violence, begging or wool slippers stuck to the screen, streaks guiding the dirty velvet, swallowing lightning, shirtless. Lips catching on a broken tooth, we watch the flesh tear in warm silence, air holding hot breath between us. Thank you so much. I am Sara Matson.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for so much of what you just read, for the surprise bubblegum kiss, for STEM representation in poetry spaces, which I don't ever ask for, but I'm always happy when I get. So thank you so much. That again was Sara Matson, longtime Nightlight, and before that, performance anxiety veteran reader. wonderful poet in person who you can find on Instagram at Skeletorsmom, Skeletorsmom, and on Blue Sky at Sara M. Matson, SaraMMatson.bsky.social. Again, you heard a little bit from Women in STEM from Bottle Press, special features DVD poems from Alien Buddha Press, and you can find more of Sarah's poem at her Neutral Spaces page, neutralspaces.co/Sara Matson. Keeping neutral spaces, one of my favorite internet places on the planet, going. Whew. So it's riding high. It's like the calm before the solstice storm that we're going to see in a couple days. And it is always a bit bittersweet to get to this point because I am welcoming our last reader, but what a last reader it will be in Amanda Giordano Herrera. Amanda Giordano Herrera is an interdisciplinary artist born and raised in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Her personal work examines surrealism, death, rebirth, and religion. She has a forthcoming poetry manuscript titled Summerland, published by Poets Row. She also has work forthcoming in the Something Together anthology, published by Contagion Press. Amanda, thank you so much for being here. I'm excited for you to take us home this evening.
Hi, thank you for inviting me. I'm honored. I am honored to be reading with such amazing writers, and I am really excited. I'm a little nervous. I am going to start with a new poem that was written very recently. It's a sonnet. This is called A Carnal Clarity. If I'm looking in this direction, it's because I'm reading off of another monitor. It's called A Carnal Clarity. Golden lapse of time, the gospel of your hands again, muddy grounds and citrus, the aromas of a day, split fantasy, a passion unanchored, foraging within the garden of surrender, stars and tendrils, dreams balance on the break, the findings so obscured. An unrelenting wrestle for lucidity, unarmored guides, a shapeless search for another kingdom, at the edge of this purple odyssey is the obvious treasure. Dear maker, who rushes in without respite, I give you the power and trouble you with the symbol of life, with the truth of red. Awakening returns at last. It is seen again as we remember. The promise of time to answer the expression of sleep and my morning exchange of common fantasy for the stain of your mouth. My next one is I'm going to read a sonnet, a prose poem, something, I'm going to try to mix it up a little bit. This is a little bit older, but it always proves to be kind of a crowd favorite. So I'm going to read this one. It's called Live and Grin. I love you, but you are going to die if you keep this up. And if you don't die, you're going to wish you were dead because I promise no one can live like this. And if you think I'm going to love you like this, baby, you're crazier than I thought you were. After that time, I brought you to dinner, and when you were nodding off, I kicked your shins so hard I thought you were going to spit in my penne alla vodka, but you didn't because you just wanted to enjoy your high. So I got drunk off the cheap tequila in my purse and flirted with the bartender wearing that heinous knit tie, but somehow you still didn't care. So I pretended not to notice when you fell asleep on the coffee table. And when you woke up the next morning, hysterical, asking what happened to your precious drugs, I said I had no idea. And then I walked to the bodega, dropping each one in the street, leaving a trail of oxy crumbs for the ghost of our relationship to follow in case he had any questions about the time when you used to love me. The next one's very short. This is called Irony. And your rhythm is not wrong, it's just different after you. My lucid eyes awaken. It was about last week when I found a note scribbled pre your last departure. I planned to slip it into your pocket so you'd find it while traveling back to the Apple City. It read, every morning I wake up next to you is my new favorite morning. I call in sick with vulnerability. This doting disease feels crystalline, foreign, naughty by nature. You remind me of a deer in headlights, cemented in my mind, a gilded mirage. And although we are both air, I want to stand still with you. Next, this poem is called Double Flame. Orange master of the house, slinking around, showing me which salt shaker goes above, the ceramic tile, the cast iron, the greens spilling from the fridge. There are 3 initiates on the bathroom shelf. They watch as I suffocate myself, choke on a crystal imported from Holland, reject tactile affection, run away from warmth. I have one more sonnet and then one more that's a longer form poem. This is called Solitude of Sea. I dreamed that my soul was expanding, that I touched a man made of water, and my unusual amorous wounds dissolved into his ephemeral core. His mouth was my penultimate chance and the dawn of my eternal craving. His skin, the honey I collected for my cloying survival. At once, there was a brilliant sequence laden with semantics. Every slow reaction, every miswritten agenda vying for first departure. The harmonic anatomy that we wove with threadbare silk dissolved, till nothing remained but his midnight affection. So as long as his flavor be savored, or as long as synergy's potent, intimacy be a vessel for our bookish inclinations. And if a searing exit springs high to a rival, seek, there is only his fragmented language to eradicate the silence. Only his shaded figure enrobed in a spectrum of blues. Only his waves, where I float with the camaraderie of infinite seas. So this next one is sort of like a tale about finding my shadow self. It's written based on Leonora Carrington. She's a surrealist painter, very famous. It's based on some of her work and also a book that she wrote when her lover, Max Ernst, the painter, was captured and taken to a concentration camp. She basically descended into madness, and she wrote a book called Notes from Down Below. And so it's just kind of like a blend of surrealism, also some films that I was inspired by, The Red Shoes, if anyone's ever seen that. It's called Creature of Rebellion. In Much Ado About Nothing, Shakespeare wrote, "Come, talk not of her. You shall find her, the infernal Ate, in good apparel." It is a static day in the labyrinth of my mind. Thrown open are the doors to the chambers of agony and ecstasy. Agony screams an agitated chorus of high blaze melancholy whispers. A broken and barely revolving door leads to a host of insects on the fringe of escapism. Ecstasy bleeds through the anonymous field of my delirium. Sweet spheres of opium sing riddles against the strobe of my lucidity. They find the dream that continues every night. My cerebrum initiates a war with this mutant fantasy, which I have come to know by the moniker of play. I am advised to take cover within a mosaic of trick mirrors to await the maiden order. That which is a mad dash to cradle the heart of fire, where a cloaked scribe writes an ill-punctuated invitation to an artist called Fear. Predicting the orchestral chords of a stolen rhapsody, she begins a familiar dance into the frame of my cognizance. A décolletage of diamonds forces my submission to transient darkness. But I am recovered by a magician who shepherds me through a garden of barren and yellow bulbs. Up ahead, moral divergence begs my decision for what appears beyond the horizon, and a river of cold blood divides at his center and beckons me down below. At long last, I face my most acclaimed tragedy. There have been rumors of her body, a string of sharp ivory and twisted syllable, traipsing along evergreen avenues of demise. But here she lies in the valley of death. I preside over this velvet and flaming creature, pondering her heedless degeneration. She lies on the calcified border of knowledge and impulse. But I mustn't wake her from the dream state, for death can never touch her any more than sleep can. Thank you so much.
Wow, what a beautiful odyssey to end us on. Thank you, Amanda, for joining us. That, again, one last time, was Amanda Giordano Herrera, who you can find on Instagram at A Giordano, but the I is a one, so AG number one ORDANO. And Amanda is the visual editor of a poetry collective based in Philadelphia called Poets Row. They organize readings and print a yearly publication to expose upcoming writers and poets. They recently launched their first online publication called Pamphlet, Pamphilet. So keep an eye out for Poets Row if you're in Philly or in the area. And also, again, keep an eye out for Amanda's forthcoming manuscript called Summerland. A great amount of summer rep this evening, given that it is December. So shout out to the Australian and all of us who is in the middle of Southern summer. Okay, oof. So we have reached the end of our reading this evening, and by way of ending, I would just love to say thank you so much to all of our readers for sharing their beautiful work with us tonight. It is always such a privilege, and it was really special to hear you all this evening. Thank you too to our listeners, whether you're here in the Zoom call with us or listening via YouTube. We really appreciate you giving this hour or so of your life over to poetry and attending to the wonderful work of our readers. I hope that if you're listening and you were inspired by what you heard, or you have a friend who you want to hear read, or you want to read with your friend, that you please might reach out to us. And the word of mouth thing is how we get so many wonderful readers, and it keeps us in this beautiful space where people get to shout out their friends in the audience who they workshop poems with and stuff. So we would love to hear from you at Nightlight Poems on any of the socials, or at tomsnarski@gmail.com or anything. We'd love to hear from you. And we'll do what we usually do, which is close things out with a poem. I have my copy of one of my favorite books ever today. This is Fanny Howe's Selected Poems from California Press or something like that. And I'm just going to read a short one from towards the very bitter end. I don't think this poem has a title, but I also don't think it needs one. I won't be able to write from the grave, so let me tell you what I love. Oil, vinegar, salt, lettuce, brown bread, butter, cheese and wine, a windy day, a fireplace, the children nearby, poems and songs, a friend sleeping in my bed, and the short northern nights.